He was not interested in the paternalistic, we know best rhetoric of many well-intentioned but under-effective nonprofits and non-governmental organizations, NGOs. He was interested in treating people with dignity. After all, everyone who has worn a pair of glasses knows that eyewear is a core part of your identity. A pair of glasses can be the most visible thing on your face. It doesn't matter whether you're a 23-year-old kid in a Manhattan restaurant or a great-grandmother in El Salvador. Nobody wants to sport an unattractive pair of glasses. Nobody knew this better than Jordan, who had catered to some of the choosiest customers in the world through his practice, as well as training on the ground as an optometric student volunteer in Latin America, and a development professional with Helen Keller International in sub-Saharan Africa. He had truly seen both sides of the coin. One thing led to another, and Jordan asked me to come on board and move down to El Salvador to work on the pilot program for what would become VisionSpring. It was there, having to prove out a model in a very challenging environment, that I caught the entrepreneurial bug and discovered the invigorating twists and turns and headaches of boots-on-the-ground problem-solving. In the field, questions came at lightning speed. What was the best way to identify people who had the interest and capability to start and run their own businesses? What was the most effective way to train and incentivize them? How could the program maintain financial sustainability? Where should I spend money, and where should I skimp? What was the best way to approach an unknown community and engage in a dialogue? What was the best way to build credibility and trust? These were among the thousands, literally thousands of lessons I learned at VisionSpring, which functioned as an incredible prep school for the business called Warby Parker, which I would go on to start. Throughout my professional career, I've been fortunate to have Jordan as a boss, a friend, and a mentor. I look to him as an example of someone who has it all figured out, and yet still has the curiosity to ask questions and keep learning. He has a thriving practice, a social purpose, and a beautiful family. At the end of the day, what Jordan taught me was not the importance of work-life balance, but the art of work-life integration. He can teach you, too. Neil Blumenthal, co-founder and co-CEO, Warby Parker.
Introduction. In 2013, towards the end of my annual visit to the optometrist, Dr. Jordan Kassalow flipped on the exam room lights and did something I'd never heard him do in the entire 10 years that I'd been his patient: talk about himself. "So, I have this other work that I do," he said, "and it's taken me to a lot of places around the world over the last 25 years. I was intrigued. "Anyway," he continued, "I have a lot of stories from my experiences, and lately when I share them with people, they've been saying you should write a book." "That's great," I said. "The thing is," Jordan explained, "I really prefer listening to speaking. I'm not a writer, and I don't even know if there's a whole book there." That Jordan was a good listener had always been apparent to me as his patient. He is the kind of doctor who goes out of his way to know the people he treats. He asks real questions about you and your life, and remembers your answers the next time you visit the office, regardless of how much time has passed. Based on questions Jordan had asked me over time about my work as a rabbi and writer, and also because Jordan had noted that day that he sensed that his Jewish identity was an important part of his other work, I was honored when Jordan asked, "If you're not too busy, could you tell me what you think?" I said I'd be happy to, and Jordan handed me a business card that said VisionSpring. Although my pupils were still dilated from the exam, when I got home from the appointment, I immediately sat down at my desk and did what any normal person wearing sunglasses indoors in the middle of the day would do under the circumstances. I Googled Jordan Kassalow. Of the many pages of links that appeared, I started with the VisionSpring website. From there, I jumped over to YouTube, where I watched Jordan giving an acceptance speech on VisionSpring's behalf.